Hi, welcome back. This is part three of my response by way of comments left on my videos by those who identify as balanced dog trainers. And this individual here, Reiku C2M, okay, leaving multiple comments on one of my videos talking about the journey from balance to interaction based. And again, I talk about there's nothing hidden here. I put out all the information. If you go onto my YouTube channel, especially on my board and train videos, you'll see me interacting with dogs, hear me talking through everything. I show the whole 14-day process so you can kind of track it. And I'm showing a real picture of change. Okay, dogs exposed to other dogs, people. You'll see the change rate from day one through, but in a way that's not edited. Okay, not showing a deceptive picture by way of response. Don't see me using treats, motivating agents in terms of transitioning the dog properly and by way of perception of dogs changing the right way with those core ingredients being reconciled at the very beginning, like 1 minute in. Okay, so understand that this is a default setting. When I'm walking the situation, I already know being able to work through a relationship problem and then how that transfers over to the dog owner, okay, who's adopting the same way of thinking, the same approach. But like I said, the problem here is you're dealing with these are already established dog trainers, okay? So when I'm removing these comments from my channel, it's a time waster, okay? Because they're not coming in here looking for information like the average dog owner, coming in here trying to engage, trying to debate, um, but they're not even at a starting gate yet when it comes to actually confronting the real issues. Okay, asking why is the dog training world in the state that it's in? Why is it that so many dogs are getting the blame? When a bad picture takes place, why is it that things can look a certain way and not be? Okay, dogs moving around, doing a great sit down, come and stay, but trying to tear your arms off 5 seconds later. Like, what's going on here? These are the questions that these trainers, didn't ask. And here's the problem: if you don't ask it at the beginning, okay, as a trainer, it's more difficult as you identify as, say, a balance trainer, force-free trainer. Ask yourself the question: what does that do? I mean, it's like you're signing a contract. You're saying this is what I agree to accept and what I don't accept. This is the path I'm going to take. And so when you come into this, and then after making that choice, then look at all the inherent problems, right? And then you're coming into my channel and you're trying to come at this, based on convincing yourself that you're right and you were not right, okay? Because you never asked the questions. You're not confronting the issues in the dog training community, what's happening, not this whole problem with the fake picture. You're not looking at that saying, why is it that some owners are successful and others are failing within the exact same approach? Like, why is that? That'll focus in on that picture I'm talking about, right? Responses. Like, why aren't you doing any of that? Like, why aren't you spend time in here trying to approach this, with someone that asked the questions? Why aren't you accepting the information and then doing a proper audit and then, making the trade-off? Well, I'll tell you why. Right? Pride, ego, all those things I talk about. It's a bad cocktail. And then once you convince yourself that you're right, well, then you have this. So here we talk about some more of this. This is again from a balanced dog trainer, but I talk about the inability of trainers to move through a relationship problem, right? The ability to reconcile the response properly to the relationship, the reaction, and that's the objection point, right? The whole context of agreeableness. This plays into certain concepts such as counter conditioning, right? The context of agreeableness. Those themes are in play. Bribery, accommodation, negotiation. Once a relationship problem is underway, you engage in those themes. That's what transfers into. You get a counterfeit picture on your hands. So here this person says, you're arguing against the terminology, but the mechanics are still the same. Even after the leash was dropped, the dog is still wearing the choke chain. Wearing the choke chain. Big deal. Okay, still big deal. I mean, understand that this is the thing about everything comes through relationally. Okay, I mean, it's the whole thing about agreeableness based on right perception of dogs changing the right way. Those core ingredients reconcile. So, you know, everything is about relationship, right? You can see the visible tension and discomfort in the dog's face and body language. Here we go. Like here it is, right? Because here's the thing, when that transition happens, okay, even if you watch my videos, you get this all the time. These people say, Dale, your dog, the dog looks not, doesn't look happy. Doesn't look happy. It looks like depressed. It looks like there's something wrong. Yeah, there is something wrong. Okay. Okay. I'm going through a transition in the roles. It's just like these same people. Think about this. When a selfish child can look pretty happy when they're getting their own way, right? They're playing their video games, they're doing what they want to do, they're in control, they think that they have it all going on, they're running right over the parents, right? Um, things are out of control. When you change your parenting style, so you go from permissive to authoritative, and you start to get in the child's airspace, how's a child look? Do they look happy about that? Right? Do they look like, you know, I mean, no. Okay. They're not going to like it. In fact, they're going to be angry about it and depressed about it. They're going to have a certain look to them. Okay. But if I'm just all caught up in appearances and it's just about me and my emotions and how things appear, and I can, right, as I'm going through that, I say, man, the child, I'm in their airspace. I'm telling them they have to get their homework done. I'm limiting their gaming hours. I've had to take that away. Man, they just look so unhappy. They look so depressed. Okay, I'm going to go in and give them back their gaming system. I'm going to start to do, they look happy again. Like, is this what this is about? Like, think about this. This is what's going on here. This is all just based on, not based on relationship the right way. This is based on superficial, appearance-based foolishness. Okay, this is what you're into with these individuals. But they'll ignore all the other stuff, like just like bad outcomes with a selfish child is out of control. You re-engage. You went back into your permissive parenting style. Now the child's punched someone in the face, and they're like the police have been called, and you're like, I don't know what happened. I don't understand that. Like, just it's beyond me. It's the same. It's the same foolishness. Like, who's really seeing? This is the thing, because this is the way it works. So this person's talking about all the see visible tension and discomfort in the dog's face and body language as it follows you. Right? Transition. So here, because when I'm reconciling those core ingredients, like they're reconciled. Okay, there's no debate, there's no projection, and oh the dog, and don't get me wrong, I talk about this, there's sometimes there has to be accommodation, but that's different. So accommodation means if I bring a dog in that's really like aggressive and there's the stress loads on that dog, I'm going to be more accommodating in the way that I'm bringing things together. Say I'm going to skip certain things like the push pull. I'm not going to put the dog in terms of interacting in terms of the down. Okay, there's things I'm going to skip for a few days. Okay, okay, to make that transition, right? So what are you doing? I'm doing it smart. It's still all going to come together, and I'm still in full control. See, that's the difference here. I'm not going into a different parenting style. I'm not bringing certain things in that are going to stall things out or going to, um, create a bad picture. Okay, I'm just making certain adjustments, right, to allow things so I'm not causing the dog to go into, say, a moment of aggression. That could still happen. Okay, I understand how you still dealt with some dogs. It's like it doesn't matter what, that dog is so hot, but I'm still the muzzle's being used, I'm slowing things down. Even the aggression happens, it's very controlled so that, there's it's like the dog will roll, might roll a little bit, go into that little, but the stress, but when that happens, the stress comes off that dog, and I'm good to go. But if I'm dealing with that high level of stress like that, where the dog could potentially go into what I call the alligator roll, okay, start rolling the stress, then I'll bring that owner into that process at a high level. Okay, that's a way to, because what you're doing, you're manipulating control. Okay, you have to, because that owner has to change anyway. So there's another kind of process that I will add to it to make that transition. So it's always about, kind of moving the pieces around so that things are going to work out the right way without, compromising anything. But it's all about doing things smart, but without bringing those themes in I talk about. Understand? So understand this system of training is very methodical. It's very intentional. I talk about stuff as I go through, but people have no clue. Like these people coming on here, they have no idea. They don't. When they start to ask certain questions, they start to engage a certain way. It's like you have no clue what you're even talking about. So here this person's talking about um, this shows the dog is managing pressure from the chain rather than responding to body language as communication. Calm behavior on the surface doesn't mean avoidance isn't happening. So avoiding what? What do you avoid? See, avoiding engaging the right way. Try this is what this trainer's doing. Avoidance, but avoiding and then going into agreement with what? Those themes I talk about. Bribery, accommodation, negotiation. That's their default. It's like, oh my gosh, man, that's just so bad. I gotta see that's the panic, right? That's the whole where's my treats? Like what's going on? I gotta see that's what these people they're compromised. They're emotionally compromised, but very dishonest. Because these are people you talk about the death before discomfort agenda. You talk about dogs being euthanized and blamed. See, that's all part that's those things those are the things that they don't will never admit to. They try to bypass and see they're coming in because this is social media. So these people are just typing on the type, just like trying to, they're not happy about. So you see, says the child analogy doesn't hold up. Sure, holds up great. When children hold their parents' hand, it's usually because um, they want to give them the choice, right? So let's see. And this is the same thing. I talk about free will. Go watch the Dylan Jones video I did on free will and choice. Ask yourself the question: what's the context? See, it's about context of free will and choice, go back to the parent example, once a child has become selfish in terms of your role with getting that resolved. So free will and choice goes in this thing about, right? Now we're back into appearances, right? We're back into responses. Think about, I mean, if you watch these videos I'm putting out right now, I'm talking about this stuff. If you're a trainer, get out your notebook, line this stuff up. I mean, I'm giving it people like gold nuggets here to think about. I mean, it's incredible. Free will, see, and this is what this trainer is trying to do. It's like free will and choice, but he's trying to move into that direction I just talked about. Right? Bad picture. Because here's the thing: when I'm interacting with dogs, I'm not focused on the sit down, come and stay the way these trainers are. Like we're just motivating the dog to respond certain ways and just to move into those positions and stuff. That's not what the system's about, right? It's the core ingredients. It's that power play. It's that conversation. That's the core of it. That really is the core of it. It's that level of engagement, right? But in a way that's meant to be fair, normal, right? It says with the dog, the behavior is maintained by avoiding pressure. Well, what behavior is he talking about here? See, I can get in all this stuff. Talk about a response. What behavior? See, and that's the whole mix up here. This is the whole kind of these words are being totally misapplied. They're all convoluted in this mess. And so when you hear the word behavior, it's all mixed up in this whole response, superficial response thing happening with these trainers. I talk about, you know, when I talk about dogs in terms of being dialed in, I talk about an express state. But I'm talking about, control manifesting. Those are words these trainers will never use. They're not dialed in that way. But think about like a selfish child. As a child becomes more and more selfish, what happens? Behavioral issues escalate. Think about it. It's just like it's incredible. These individuals are not dialed in whatsoever. They're so superficial. It's like they're just skimming the surface. This is why for me to have this conversation with it's impossible with the dog. The behavior is maintained um, by avoiding pressure from the sea. It's just about reciprocal response, not by enjoyment or connection. Enjoyment, what's that mean? Again, it's so crazy. It's enjoyment. So it's the same thing. Okay, it's like the same thing. Go back to the parent example. It's like I don't want confrontation. I just want my child to be enjoy. I just want them enjoy everything. All right. That's why I say a dog can look happy, the tail wagging and stuff before someone gets attacked. Endorphins are just like endorphins kicking off, right? Like the runner's high. A parent doesn't need to use an aversive or tool around the child's neck. See, and so there's your inflammation. See, now we got to go there. Now we got to go with the choke, the neck, and the choking, and the violence, and all the rhetoric, right? So as soon as you hear like at this point, like right here, I haven't gone through anything. I just delete it all, get it out of here. That's what's going to happen. I mean, unfortunately, K9staya is responding. So, when I remove the comments, right? But it's like I can't. I'm probably doing him a favor, right? I mean, he's responding to this stuff. That's great. But but I'll leave it here for the moment because my thing is at least it could help somebody. Just like when I do these videos, it can help this individual. But there could be several people on here saying, you know what, Dale, I get this. I mean, I'm a trainer. I get what you're saying. So that's my hope. I removed a lot of comments and a lot of these individuals here recently because it gets so out of control, foolish. And it's like one person, if I did them a favor, they were like commenting every hour, like through the night, like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I wake up and like, what is this person is completely lost, gone off the deep end. And so it was like a balanced trainer follower person, but I just removed all the comments. It's like people are out of control, and it's just all foolishness. And this isn't up, and they'll go on and say, "Oh, Dale's like not giving the public a voice," and said, "No, I'm not give. There's a difference. I'm not giving the turned over, corrupted, okay, dog training community a voice. That's doing not giving a voice because they're not in here for the reason of actually considering anything. They're just like want to get personal and they just want to go in the attack because they're part of the problem. So they are not the public. Okay, I understand that's not the public that I deal with. All right, these are trainers that are just totally turned over. So thanks for watching. This is part three. I'll do maybe one more final part here, but my hope is you kind of get the idea here. When I look at comments and stuff, I already know like within the first sentence or two, okay, it's like statement analysis, okay, um, where this is going, like what the person's ideology is. And then it's like, don't waste your time. You hope the person turns around or gets it, but people have to come to the end of themselves. Understand that you can't control that. And this is why people can take it with me removing stuff, but it's like almost doing them a favor because it's like, what's the point? Okay, because it starts at the beginning. You have to want it. No one had to drag me to the truth. Understand that I was like wanted to know, and that's the first kind of criteria here for people is you gotta want to know. If you don't want to know, you're wasting your time. You're wasting my time. You gotta come to the end of yourself. You gotta bottom out, and then and get rid of the pride, get rid of the arrogance. Once happens, if you're ready to make the trade off, then great things can happen, but not until then. And people take that however they want, but because I always look back on my own journey. Where did I start? I started from with Ruben, hitting that level, and then doing my own audit, going through everything, and then looking around. I wanted to know. I didn't just do what these trainers did, just move forward and engage. No. So they did what I never did. See, that's why I come back. So that's on them. I never did that. You have to start somewhere, but there should be a reality check at some point where you say, you know what? Okay, I get this. I'm going to back out of this. I'm going to make the trade off. but a lot of these individuals, there's no coming back. Can't understand some of these people. I hate to say that, but it's true. It's like, forget it. You waste your time. They're like, if they would have made the trade off, they would have did a long time ago. They made that choice. So that's where they're at. So thanks for watching. I'll probably do one more part. Take care.